Hey frag heads and fragrance lovers, welcome back. It's Benjamin here at the Centaur Fragrance Channel, showcasing some more beautiful fragrances with and for you guys. I hope that you're doing absolutely fantastic out there today. Please be safe out there. The world's crazy. And get in that comment section. Let me know, have you tried this fragrance? Have you heard about it? This is a real winner, guys. It's a beautiful fragrance, and we certainly got to talk about it. First off, with the notes. I'm going to get off the deep end with this one and talk about how I feel about it. But I think there's, of course, the Tonka. There's oud, there's Bulgarian rose, and there's a few other notes supposedly hidden up in here, but I do get the sugar cane, and I will definitely am going to focus on that. So this is a beautiful fragrance, very charming. This one often is compared to Instant Crush or Sensual Instinct, having somewhat of a little bit more of a full body and a gourmandy feel to it, and also having somewhat of a Baccarat Rouge 540 type of smell to it. First off, I'm going to go completely off the deep end and say that I do agree. I completely agree that this fragrance it might have different notes and it might be a little bit different, but it ultimately has a similar style in that it kind of comes across like Baccarat Rouge 540. Is it a clone? No. Is it exactly the same? Absolutely not. But does it have some similarities? Perhaps it does. And I kind of like it for what it's doing here. So again, this fragrance is all about the Tonka, but it's not exactly a heavy, deep Tonka. There is some darkness and there is depth to this fragrance, but the Tonka actually comes up to the forefront. The sweetness immediately kind of grabs you, and then you get kind of like how the musk does in Baccarat Rouge 540. The Bulgarian rose adds some powderiness and some freshness and kind of lifts up the fragrance in the heart of it. It's really charming. Supposedly there's some oak moss in the background, adding a little bit of a dry balance to the sweetness, but again, a pretty darn sweet fragrance. Not the sweetest, but definitely really sweet. And then the fragrance, there's some brown sugar, and that brown sugar really adds a little bit more depth than you would think. It's not a white sugar. It's not a candy floss or a cotton candy. The brown sugar actually has a little bit of depth, almost like a boozy element without the boozy feeling. It adds a little bit more of a unique sweetness to it, and I really like this fragrance. It's really, really nice. It's actually been getting quite popular. It's been flying off the shelves. People's been speaking really highly about it. Some people also say that they get somewhat of a latexy feel, like out of Baccarat Rouge 540. I don't get a lot of it, but I can see where the feeling is coming from with this fragrance. There is somewhat of a latex type of vibe in the very background, but it's it's not very noticeable. If you didn't really compare this to Baccarat Rouge 540, if you weren't very deep into fragrances, or maybe if you just kind of got into this fragrance kind of casually, you might not really be able to detect that. So what is this fragrance all about? It's about the Tonka. It's about the rose. It's a really nice blend of things. I really like the Tonka here. There are a lot of Tonka fragrances on the market, especially with the Tonka dry downs. Good Girl and, a Bad Boy, I think it was, by Carolina Herrera, also kind of have a lot of Tonka to them. But there's not a lot of fragrances that really make Tonka the focal point of the fragrance, especially in the designer game. There's not a lot of them. Yes, there's a lot of fragrances that are sweet that do have Tonka, but are they the focus of the fragrance? I don't think so. And I think a lot of people really like Tonka. We know it's a mass appealing note. We know it gets the compliments, and this fragrance does a really good job of that. I also do think that this fragrance also takes a tiny bit of inspiration from its original. This is a flanker. If you didn't know, there was original fragrance from Montale called Arabians. It is more of a dry Middle Eastern, kind of leaning towards the classic fougere side of things, and I think that's where the oak moss is coming from, adding a little bit of the familiar feel of the original. You can't really detect it, but this fragrance also reminds me a tiny bit of the feeling, and maybe it's mixed into the accords just a tiny bit of like a deeper, sweeter lavender, and a little bit of just a kind of like a casual, laid back, but refined, a little bit of a leather as well in the background of this fragrance. So I think if you just looked at the notes of this fragrance and you blind bought this one, that there's actually a lot more going on, and you'd be surprised that this fragrance is actually, you kind of have to hear about it and kind of smell the fragrance to believe actually what's going on in the composition. So that's what my reviews and your fragrance reviewers are all about. So anyways, a fantastic little fragrance, really, really nice. I do think that there's perhaps a little bit of musk snuck up here in the background of the fragrance as well. big compliment getter. Let's jump into the performance, guys. I don't even need to spray this fragrance. You probably have seen me sniffing the sprayer here. I don't even need to spray this one to tell y'all how good this fragrance is and how long it performs. This is a 12-hour fragrance or plus. This will give you all day longevity. This will give you beast mode performance if that's what you're into. I don't know if it's the strongest projector, but it does really get out there and it is really noticed. It is quite sweet and it definitely lasts a very long time, especially on clothes and skin. This is another one of those fragrances on clothes or on your jacket like this one or anything. It'll definitely probably be there for a day or maybe two. So it's not a bad performing fragrance. Yes, montale, and one of those things that comes with montales, that's kind of a caveat of things, is that I do think that they're more synthetic than natural, and some people don't seem to like montale fragrances. They have a personality about them. There is a little bit of the montale oud here, but again, it's not an animalic oud. It's not a scary oud. It's not disgusting, but it does add that certain kind of montale quality, especially with that oud and rose that they seem to sneak in almost every single one of the montale fragrances. Montale, you did it again. So, anyways, that gets into the compliment factor. What do people think about this fragrance? It's a compliment getter, guys. This is probably my biggest compliment getter of all time from montale. I'm not making it up. Starry Nights did magic. Starry Nights was really good. I think it's a great fragrance. I highly respect it. Very, very unisex, very, very wearable from the house of montale. But I feel like this fragrance, you know, perhaps is it is a little bit more better for the fall weather, perhaps, or a little bit better for colder weather. But it suits my personality. I can put on 1 or 2 sprays of this, and I love how it feels. You know, Starry Nights is probably my second favorite from this house, perhaps of all time, but it has a lot of jasmine to it, and I kind of struggle with jasmine, but that's a little bit of a different discussion. But wonderful fragrance here with the montale. This one works. It's a compliment getter. People love it. It's dark, but yet not too heavy. It's you know, it's not a smoky fragrance at all, but you know, it kind of might have some intrigue with that without really being smoky. It's sweet, but it's not. It is playful, but it's not. It's got a little bit of sensuality behind it, so it's not just playful. It's you know, it's you know, got some allure to it without being too brooding or sour or too instancy or anything like that. So this one is doing a lot of things right, and I think it's a great release. You know, honestly, this is my final thoughts, and maybe I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but we talked about Baccarat Rouge 540 and the similarities between that, and a lot of people say that Baccarat Rouge 540 and all those fragrances do have a lot of similarity, maybe not exactly in the smell, but in the style of, you know, Oud for Greatness. And I actually, you know, I'm happy that you stayed to the end of the video here, because you're hearing some of the most important details, and I share important information from the beginning to the end of all my videos. So I don't know if I want to call montale a clone house, but I think that there's no doubt that they took inspiration from Oud for Greatness. They sweetened it up, they made it even more playful, and they decided to put their own twist on that DNA. And I think that they did a fantastic job. So that might hurt the originality of this fragrance. For some people, that might be a big negative if you're deep into fragrances. I think if you put them side by side, I think that you will personally feel like this one took inspiration from Oud for Greatness, from Initio. But is it a great fragrance? Yes. Do I think it's a better price for value than Oud for Greatness? Yes. Is it more sweet and more playful? Yes. So I think that this is a winner of a fragrance. Is it the most original creation to come from montale? No. But I think it's one of my favorites, maybe my favorite from montale of all time. And it's certainly a unique fusion of sweetness and modern qualities and modern emotions and style in fragrances, as well as having a little bit of darkness and a little bit of complexity to it. So I really like it for that. So anyways, guys, fantastic fragrance. I think one of the stronger montale fragrances, and I think it's really selling really well in some places in the world, and I think it's going to get even more popular. So Arabians Tonka, solid fragrance, solid release, might not be terribly original, but you know, sometimes that happens, and sometimes, you know, you kind of get the best of the best if you know, kind of some people play around with the DNA. So anyways, guys, stay safe out there. I hope that you liked my review. If you did, you liked what you saw and like what you heard, and you enjoyed my review today, why don't you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, and tell a friend. And I do appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the next video. I upload just about every single darn day. I have over 600 videos out there. I'll catch you next time. time on the next video, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe, and bye.